Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a quick review and shade comparison for the new Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurexes that came out around Christmas. So I already had Daphne and Anais in her Liquid Lurex formula. Really love these. I have a review of these, I believe, on my channel. And then for Christmas, my husband bought me the three new ones because he knew I wanted all three. So we've got Titania, Cressida and Viola. So really love these colors. I've been wearing these a lot, but I wanted to show you them next to each other, next to the other shades, especially Titania next to the more olive shade, Daphne. And then I wanted to give you some shade comparisons to some powder shadows that I have from like Pat McGrath and ABH so that you can kind of see what they look like next to those and on my skin tone in case that is helpful for you. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup. I definitely have a soft spot for indie makeup and colorful makeup, and I tend to take a very scientific and analytical approach to makeup. And I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. So I really love this liquid eyeshadow formula from Lisa Eldridge. I haven't tried her powder eyeshadows yet. I really want Vega and Sorcery and Myth. I really want them all. Cinnabar I could probably do pretty easily because I love those colors. Muse looks pretty, but like the one I would use the least because it's kind of pinky. But I really want the others. And Vega and Sorcery, I think as soon as they come back in stock, I'm gonna splurge and buy them because really love those colors. And from everything I've seen about the formula, it sounds like something I would adore. But I really love these liquid eyeshadows. They are creamy. They're really easy to work with. You can use your finger, you can use a brush. They last all day. I do have to use an eye primer. I use my Urban Decay eye primer. I know Lisa Eldridge really likes the Nars eye primer, but that has been sold out everywhere for a while. But I do have to use an eye primer, otherwise they do kind of fade away. But if I use an eye primer, they last all day, 10, 12 hours, no issue. So I've been wearing Titania and Cressida a lot. Titania all over my lids, and then Cressida in the inner corner. My first couple videos of the year, I had that eye look on, so I will link those. It's just a beautiful, like, kind of green antique gold look. It looks a little antique gold bronze, and it might look less green depending on your skin tone, but especially as soon as you put it next to a bronze, you're like, oh no, that definitely has green to it, which is my favorite kind of color. I also really love Viola. It's a little more satin and less sparkly, but I do really like that, and that's what I'm actually gonna put on now, and then I'll do those shade comparisons. This is the shade Viola. I'm wearing it because I feel like it'll go with my shirt really well. I don't have any eye makeup on except for eye primer, and then I just kind of, as I did my face, put a little bronzer up here. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this down. It's raining really hard and there's a bunch of big trucks going by. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this and put it on my lid. And it's just the prettiest purple, and it's a pretty unique purple for my collection. I will show you in a minute, but I tried to compare it to some others, and a lot of the others were like a little more purple, a little more red, or a little more maroon. This one is pretty unique, even compared to my palettes. So I like to put it on my lid and then just use a brush. I will use my finger too, but I'm just using a blending brush. This is from Sonia G. It's from her Fusion series. I just got a few of these. So this is made to work with both liquids and creams. And just diffuse the edge. One thing I really love about these is they are the perfect one and done. I've used other liquid shadows that don't blend out like these. So you can't get that soft edge, and you can't really wear it as a true one and done, which is what I like most days and what I really want this kind of formula for. They also don't burn my eyes. I've used, especially drugstore liquid eyeshadows tend to sting and burn my eyes. These do not. So I'm just gonna add this to the other side and mascara, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and just added it to this eye, blended just as fast, added my Isme mascara, and all done. I could add Cressida to my inner corner if I want. It is a really beautiful, like, soft pearl color. Really love it. Put a little bit right here. It just makes a really nice inner corner highlight. You could also just do a soft diffused look over the lid, as she did in her videos, or in her video on these. Really love this. So now for the shade comparisons. So I'll show you between the Lisa Eldridge shadows themselves, and then I have a little handful stack of palettes here with some shades that I think would be useful to compare it to. So first up, I'll do Cressida because it is what I'm holding, and it is a very nice pearl color. There's like a little bit of champagne, a little bit of pink. Really beautiful, really reflective. So if you'd like a light color like this would be beautiful. I could see this, like, put a little bit of brown, like bronzer or brown in your eye and put this all over the lid. That's a look that I've done before, not with the shade, but with other things. So I think this would be really beautiful. You could also just kind of do a sheared out wash of sparkle all over your lid with some mascara. I think that would be a really beautiful look, especially on light to medium skin tones. It might be a little too bright and icy on dark skin tones. And then we've got Viola, which is what I just put on my lids. And you can see it's just this really beautiful purple, but like it's the perfect mix of purple and maroon and red. And so there is Viola. And if you're new here, I do have an olive undertone, as you can see in the reflection. So I do have a bit of yellow and green in me, so that will affect how these look. And then my favorite, Titania. I'm just a sucker for these kind of colors in general. And you can see that right here. So it is just the most beautiful, like, antique gold bronze tone. So there's like that, like, old gold, green, bronze mix. And you can see in some lights, like here, it just kind of looks bronze. If I look down, it just kind of looks bronze. But I will show you next to some more true bronzes, and you'll see that it does have some green. And then here is next to Daphne, which is the green in Lisa's Liquid Shadows. It is an olive. And as soon as, this was the first one I bought, as soon as I saw it, I needed it. So you can see how much less green this is next to it. But there is green to it. And then this is Anais, which is one of her newer shades as well. Came out a few months ago. And it is a pewter with a bit of a green, like a sage green undertone. And so you can see there's that little bit of green there too. But they're all very distinct. This is much more pewter, cool toned, neutral, very green. And this is like your warmer hint of green. So I think the two that are the most interesting to compare will be Titania and Viola. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna put, cleaned off my hand, I'm gonna put a bit of Titania on one side and a bit of Viola on the other, and then I'll swatch the corresponding things next to each other. So here is Titania and Viola again. So one of the first things I grabbed, which I actually had already because I was using it as a mirror, is this Pat McGrath quad. And this has this really beautiful bronze shade in it that's got like lots of different sparkle. But when you look at, this is one of those where as soon as I put it next to Titania, you could see that green really pop. Especially on my skin tone, I think the green kind of blends in nicely. But when you put it next to like a true bronze, you can really see the green of Titania. And then I grabbed both of my newer ABH palettes. These both have very earthy color stories, so it felt like a good place to look. So in this one, there's Hope, which is very, very green. So I thought I would compare it to Belle, which is a little more antique gold. And put that right there. So you can see it's a little more bronze, antique gold, but it has less green than Titania. And then in Rose Metals, I thought I would compare it to Nova, which is like a blackened olive. It's like a gold olive. It's not fully green or fully gold. And I feel like those are the closest to. So you can see this is a little chunkier and a powder. This is a little smoother, but those, it's a little less dark, but those are two very similar tones, which I don't mind having, but especially in different formulas, but you can kind of see. So if like you have this ABH palette and you like this color, but it's a little too dark for you, this would be a great alternative. And then I thought I would grab one of my Pat McGrath holiday palettes for this shade here. I think this is Megabyte. Yeah, so it's a little less chartreuse than Gigabyte, which is in Subversive, which I do have, but that's very much green chartreuse. So I thought I would put Megabyte next to it so you can just see Megabyte's still very green. Megabyte's like a little closer to Daphne, like a darker Daphne. And you can see next to this, it doesn't look green at all, but next to these, it looked very green. So, also the sun just decided to come out, so the light might change. It just was pouring rain a little bit before. And then if you want to compare it to the new Victoria Beckham Lid Luster in Velvet, it is also not as green as that, but they are pretty similar. So I will put Victoria Beckham there so you can see. So it's got more of that true green there. So if you were looking for a one and done, you really wanted it more green, I would go with Daphne or this. But if you like that greeny gold, Titania is perfect. And then for the purple, for Viola, I grabbed two of my Natasha Denona palettes that have that kind of vibe about them, and there's no direct match. So in Lila, I feel like the closest would be maybe this one, like some of these purple shimmers here, but you can see none of them are the same. They're all very different. I feel like this is the closest, but still it's kind of like a hybrid between these two. So I'll put these three Lila shades here so you can see it's got a bit of the maroon like this one, but also the purple of this one. And the closest in, and then in retro, the closest would be Swing, which is still not very similar. Swing is the closest, I think, but you can see there's a little less red. This has a little bit more of that maroon to it, especially in the shine. And this doesn't have as much maroon. And I'm just looking at the Pat McGrath palette again, and there's a bunch of purple in here, but they're not the same. So these were the closest. This was the one that I thought of first, and then I thought, oh, let's look at Lila too. So it's like this, but if you added more maroon. So still a pretty unique color for me, and just the perfect one and done. I really love it. Okay, so I really hope that that comparison was helpful. I know there's lots of reviews and videos of these out, but I wanted to have some comparisons, and especially on an olive complexion, in case that was helpful, especially for these. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Have you tried these? What you think of the tones or the formula? I always love to hear your opinions on things. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.